Hello and welcome to this special Amaya Obok Malawi program. My name is Josephine Jizimba.
We are women crossing the line. We are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Jass Associates, Southern Africa.
Jass Associates has been on the ground for the past 21 years worldwide, and here in Malawi, Jass celebrates 15 years of its existence. Today's program features Phumi Mtetwa, Regional Director for Jass Southern Africa, and Sibongile Chibwesingini, the Country Coordinator for Jass Malawi, who will highlight how the journey has been like. Let us listen in together.
My name is Phumi Mtetwa. I am the Regional Director for Jass in Southern Africa, and we also work in East Africa. Jass is 21 years old, and it's an organization that was founded by a group of friends who are feminist popular educators, most of them grounded in the liberation movement in Mesoamerica, in Southern Africa, and in Southeast Asia. And for 21 years, having been born from a history of liberation, they wanted to contribute in the building of democracies, but always knowing that women have to be the center and women have the solutions to the problems, and especially when democracy projects started to crumble. So Jass, founded over 21 years ago globally, continues to work deeply in these three regions, as well as have a global articulation that is really about feminist movement building using feminist popular education. And we work across building women's power and leadership, influencing agendas, using cross-movement, cross-border, cross-issue articulations, because we know that you need much more of allies to actually make the change. And of course, we work in many spaces, both those that are created, whether by government or whether by civil society, movements, and so forth, but largely is amplifying women's voices, both for problems as well as for solutions. And in Southern Africa, we work deeply in Malawi for over 14 years, which is why we are here today to celebrate those 14 years. But we also work deeply in Zimbabwe and in South Africa, and very lightly in Uganda and in Kenya. And Sibo, maybe you can start us off by sharing like the journey of over 14 years in Malawi. You were there from the beginning.
Yes, I was there, and I'm Sibongile Chibwesingini. I'm the country coordinator for Jass Southern Africa, based in Malawi. As Phumi rightly said, that our work started 21 years ago, and in Malawi, we began working with women in 2007. The aim was to strengthen both individual and collective voice and agency, with the goal of transforming the structural drivers of discrimination, the inequalities that was there, and also the violence that was happening by that time. And in 2007, this was the time where HIV was at the peak. And the aim was to facilitate and also support the participation of women living with HIV, because this was our entry point in Malawi in all matters that affected women living with HIV. The work was also really built on building women's power as agency in order for them to change their lives. Because at that time, women were being discriminated and so many things were happening in their lives. Women were not even able to voice out. They didn't even know that they could voice out on issues that are affecting them. They were normalizing violence at that time, and they were silenced. So we started our organizing, our mobilizing, and building our movement by focusing on a single issue. By that time, it was HIV, which needed to be addressed. And our approach in advancing gender equality, as Pumi already alluded to, starts at an individual level. We work with women in order to strengthen their critical political consciousness. We also work with them so that they identify their own shared priorities that they want to work on. And also we work with them so that they can build their own solidarity, so that they mobilize their collective voice and also influence so that they effect the changes that they want to see. So as Jass, as I said, that the approach that we use is the process-oriented approach. And this has been carried out, I think, nearly 14, 15 years now. And this approach has led to a vibrant movement, which we call Our Bodies, Our Lives. And in Chichewa, we are calling it Matupeatu Muyowatu, which is MAMU. And in English, it's Obo.
That's amazing, Sibo.
Yes.
I mean, you know, when I think and I have read about the story of Obol before even I joined Jass over, 7 years ago now, one of the interesting things for me that struck me is how the bodies of women,
Yes,
like today, they continue to be a site of struggle. But this entry through a pandemic, you know, an epidemic at the time, right? That was affecting women in a particular way. I mean, we often say AIDS has a woman's face and, you know, the feminization of HIV and AIDS. Those were the issues. But there was something particular about Malawi, right, that I think is worth lifting in relation to how the face of the woman was, right? First of all, when all our governments were going to get ARVs, the government sought the cheapest, the ones that were not good to give to give to the women, which in effect began to deform women's bodies. And that became a rallying issue because whilst in South Africa, for instance, we struggled to get a government to agree to ARVs. Malawi sought to agree to ARVs, but get the worst type of ARVs, right? That was deforming women's bodies. So the fact that the site of struggle was the woman's body and how it was being deformed became a rallying issue, became an organizing issue. That's the first thing I think I wanted to lift. The second thing is that once women recognized, you know, through that founding conference, I think that was a very powerful founding conference that was able to say women matter, women are valuable, and this thing can change. That the women who were at the forefront leading the struggle were women who were HIV positive, supported by many others, right? To then form a MAMU or OBOL, the secondly. But I also think it's important to live how Jass in the founding of OBOL was able to rally others to come to the struggle. That for me is particularly important because we know the importance of building allyship and partnerships. The role of Manerela and the various religious leaders that came to the fight, then enabling government of the time, right? Led by a woman president, it's another issue. The formation of a coalition of people living with HIV led to another very strong allyship between Kolwa, Manerela, and those that were sitting outside of the. I think these are huge, huge achievements that at the end of that arc of work, what we've seen through the feminist movement building work of over 14 years in Malawi, we have seen over 8,000 positive women and their families go through building the consciousness of what is the disease about, what are the drugs about, but what it means to build women's power on one end. And then secondly, to use it for organizing and mobilizing to change the situation. That was both about the drugs themselves, but also about their lives, that you say, you know, the structural determinants of why the situation. And we've seen like changes in laws, changes in attitudes, changes in the way in which the healthcare system, which was not embracing women who were being deformed, you know, including the traditional authorities, which were not embracing the women who were deformed by the anti-ARVs, have transformed. So the story of Jass and Obol in Malawi, it's really a beautiful story that you see actually an arc of work, which is how I think maybe you can tell us more about how, for instance, instance, health and well-being sit as a cross-cutting issue in all the organizing elements that OBOL is about today, which is really how health and well-being is a cross-cutting organizing issue, because it's not about the tablet and the medicine. It's about fully well-being. It's about food sovereignty. It's about making sure that the food is healthy, the manure, organic manure making, the land, and so on. Can you speak more about these aspects?
Yes. Thanks so much, Pumi. I think before that, I think I would really love to also talk about what Jass values. I think for us, the first point that really makes me happy is that the work that we do, we work with the women who have been discarded, and we use FPE in order to build and transform power. And that is why our approach to advancing gender equality starts at individual level, as what Kumi alluded to. And this starts from where women are. And we also believe and respect knowledge that women hold, and we believe that women have solutions to their own problems, and this forms our political agenda. So I think this also really helped us to really come up with the wins or the milestones that I also want to talk about, because the spaces that we create makes women to open up, and it creates dialogue. And these spaces also educate them. In so doing, the women see the use of voicing out and also coming together as a collective and start organizing and building their own issues that they want to.
We are women crossing the line. We are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Just Associates, Southern Africa.
I'll start with the radio program as a milestone, because this is one thing that came out, I think, when we were hit by the pandemics. So we are advocating and influencing and also amplifying voices through the radio programs. These radio programs started in 2021 because women felt that they can use this platform to encourage and discuss their strategies and give feedback on a range of important topics that they deem necessary. I think some of the topics Pumi already alluded to, like food sovereignty, climate justice, structural violence, which is at peak, and also economic independence. So these radio programs are aired weekly, and they create awareness not only for OBO women, but also other women and the general public to open up on issues that are affecting them. And other people also support these women as they share their experiences. They also partner with them as they share their stories on how women are crossing the line by challenging the boundaries and making sure that they defy the social norms that are enforced and advocate for changes in their lives. These radio programs are also used to reach out to government and also duty bearers and policy makers, the judiciary sometimes, and other stakeholders on issues that are affecting these women.
You just mentioned something so interesting that I think we should underline. I don't want to use that thought, sister. I don't want to interrupt you. But the first thing is about the role of feminist popular education.
Yes.
What it is. What is feminist popular education? And why does it sit at the heart of who Jass is? And also to remember that Jass has 4 radio programs across the world, right? We have one in Honduras. We have a slot in Mexico. in Indonesia, as well as the Malawi, with the Malawi Broadcasting Corporation. And you're right to say it's part of the way of both amplifying jazz work, making invitations about who jazz is and what jazz does, but also making sure that there is space for the women we work with, for the women we accompany through our feminist movement, building schools and processes to talk about feminist popular education. Now, the role of feminist popular education is paramount to jazz, because in order to understand why things happen the way they happen, in order to understand the problem deeply, fully, in order to inform the solutions, in order to inform organizing, to make sure that there are solutions, you will inevitably need that consciousness. Now, popular education has a long history, but it has been very male, right? Male-dominated, founded through machoism and so forth. But what we say is feminists have a way of doing popular education because we rely on the people who have the answers. This is not the teacher-student approach. This is not the I know best, you know nothing. Because often it's a methodology, it's a way of being and a practice that actually allows us to actually probe so that the participants, the communities, the people we work with are able to see for themselves. The best analysts of a context are the people who live in the context. The best understanders of the problem are the people who live and experience the problem. And guess what? The best people who know the solution are the ones who live the problems daily. And what we do in this practice is actually allow, through the methodologies, many methodologies that you can find on our website, to actually support and work with people to actually bring it out, And so when Obol women say what we need, it's, healthy inputs into our food gardens, it's because they know what unhealthy inputs have done, but they probably need some support to actually know what are the possibilities that allow us to partner with the Department of Agriculture in Malawi to learn about organic manure. It's that type of a process. And I think it's important. We cannot celebrate what Obol and Jass have been able to do when we've lived through a pandemic and what we were able to do, 9 sites of food gardens, when the idea of going to buy a vegetable was difficult, to develop food gardens, to carve them not as farming sites, but as organizing sites. We did that 2020, 2021. That's what we were able to do. To be able to say these food gardens are collective, which I think it's another thing to particularly lift in this conversation, is how we are doing away with the individual, because we see the world the way it is, how individualism destroys communities, how the me, I, and myself is not good for creating communities. And so building the collective power, making sure collective ownership, making sure that the decisions are held cooperative style by the collective has been one of the most beautiful journeys that I have witnessed through Obol. And I wonder, when you think about the 28 hubs, Sibo, if you want to lift like the diversity of the hubs, but also what makes them hub the way they hub, so to speak. I'm verbalizing the hub.
Yeah, I think, Pumi, you're really right. And I think before this point goes out, I also want to talk about EFPA as one of our offerings. And we will also have a convening on this next week, in which we seek to amplify the voice of women's knowledge based around investing in EFPA as a research tool. So women are doing what they are doing because as Jass, we believe in working with the women and not making women subjects to investigations, but they become investigators themselves. And this approach recognizes women, and women recognize also that they are oppressed by more than one system. Women also know that these institutions are the ones that are oppressing them, and the institutions are supported by rules, norms, customs, or traditions that are creating and oppressing them at all levels. So I just wanted also to lift this to say that we will be holding a convening next week. MBC will also be invited to be with us and also learn more about what women are doing, how they are doing it, and how are they using FPA to make sure that they even use the food gardens that we are talking about to be an organizing tool and all that. In Malawi, how OBO is structured, it's in all the districts.
We have infrastructures in all the 28 districts. And in each district, we have a district committee, which is made up of 10 OBO members. And in each district, they also have traditional authority committees because the districts are huge. So when they are selecting these committees in districts, whether at community level or district level, they have a criteria that they follow. They also have principles when they are organizing in these hubs. So the spaces that they meet in, we call them hubs. They are calling it hubs. And these principles, it's them that come up with all the principles that they want to follow, the functionalities of how the hubs will be functioning. It's also their responsibility, so they all come up with all this. The activities that will be happening at each hub, it's also them that comes up with it. Yeah, so I talked about calling the spaces hubs. Why they call them hubs? It's because they feel that these spaces are safe. They are different from what other people call offices, but their spaces are hubs. They call them safe spaces. They also call them brave spaces because the women are able to express themselves without fear. They are made to feel comfortable. They are made to feel welcomed. There are no discrimination of someone's biological sex, whether race, ethnicity. So you express yourself the way you want. Yeah, so I think that's why they are calling these spaces safe spaces. They also discuss critical issues. They also solve problems in these spaces, in these hubs. These spaces are also made for decision-making, strategizing around key areas for collective organizing and so on.
So they are referred to as Edifelo. So even traditional leaders, even other organizations, even the judiciary, even the police are able to tell people to say, if you have these issues, can you go to a OBO hub? They will help you and they'll make sure that you are helped and we are living in a world that is just for you. So really to see how knowledge changes things in communities and also in the nation, I think it's really good. And I would also say that at first, I think women were not even included in decision-making positions, even at district level, even at traditional level. But right now, a lot of women are taking part. They are in those decision-making positions. They are able to influence in their own communities. They are able to dialogue with other people. They are able to transform the changes that they want to. So you can name all the issues because the issues also differ from hub to hub. Yeah,
I think that is so fantastic because I think, we celebrate OBOL. OBOL is the only movement that is now registered in Malawi. And that has been like the work of building for them to be able to be respected, recognized as such in the country. And we really celebrate the amazing leadership of the OBOL women across the country. We celebrate what they've been able to achieve, how they've been able to turn lives around, not just of themselves, but of the other women and the people that they live around. We are also able to celebrate that OBOL women are not defined by their HIV status, but they are defined about how they engage leadership, about community concerns, about multiple forms of violence, but also about contributing to the building of Malawi. And we celebrate that many of them sit in very important committees and leadership positions across the 28 districts, and they continue to organize and welcome new people. And so as we close a particular chapter right now of 15 years of deep work, and we celebrate Obol, and we know that it will continue with us as their partners to remain the strong force and movement that we have learned and celebrate the women of Obol. Obol, oye!
Oh, yeah.
That was a special discussion featuring Jass Region Director for Southern Africa, Phumi Mthethwa, and Malawi's country coordinator, Sibongile Chibwesingini, as Jass celebrates 21 years globally and 15 years in Malawi. Keep a look for the next episode that will highlight how Jass envisions its next 15 years in Malawi. Till then, you are with me, Josephine Jizimba.
Crossing the line, we are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Just Associates, Southern Africa. Southern Africa.